You have to understand that the president was outside again, this time not at a rally, but on one of his golf courses. And although it is a private country club, there are other people golfing there, and it's surrounded by this shrubbery, and it's so large that it would be virtually impossible to have an agent say, every 20 meters or so. I've been in the presidential pool when President Trump in the previous administration would regularly go, almost like clockwork on the weekends, to his golf course in Northern Virginia. And we were not allowed to watch him play golf, but some of the enterprising videographers who weren't in the pool could be hundreds of meters away and with a telephoto lens get shots of the president golfing. And of course, if you're with a camera with a telephoto lens, you could be at that same location with a gun, with a scope on it.
What more do we know about the suspect who had that gun? Apparently his son has reportedly spoken out as well.
Yes, I would describe this individual, who's just a suspect at this point, as a bit of a fantasist. He wanted to put together mercenaries, so to speak, who had fought against the Taliban in Afghanistan, who were living in Iran, and somehow get them to Ukraine. And people who had interacted with him didn't take him all that seriously. And this is very much, I think, in the pattern with presidential assassination attempts in modern history in the United States, where there's not necessarily a political motive in trying to kill the president, but that they may have some sort of psychiatric issues and are basically carrying out this act for other reasons than politics.
And Steve, Donald Trump almost immediately let his supporters know that he was okay, saying, "I'm safe and well, nothing will slow me down, I will never surrender." And we saw J.D. Vance also saying that he was in good spirits, amazingly. What was Donald Trump's message?
Well, it was pretty blatant there that, first of all, assuring people that he's okay and don't believe all the rumors that you might see spreading on social media. And second, as he did after the first assassination attempt, use this as part of his campaign, putting out political fundraising messages and showing bravado that he's not going to be intimidated by these attempted attacks against him.
Well, the back-to-back assassination attempts bring back memories of what happened to President Gerald Ford in 1975. What comparisons can you make?
Well, in both those cases, it was a sitting president at the time. He was outdoors in California. Again, it was two women in this case who tried to kill him, or at least shoot him. And they really didn't have political motives. Squeaky Fromm, the first one, was very upset about the redwood trees in California. She was a Manson family follower. I corresponded with her later after she subsequently escaped from a federal correctional institute. I covered that on the scene. And it was clear that she lived in a bit of a different world than most people. So the problem here, obviously, is, there are lots of troubled individuals out there, some of them who want to make a name for themselves or, picking up voices in their heads. But when you put a gun in their hand and put them in proximity to a political leader, this then does become a recipe for potential disaster.
Would you say that Americans are having to adjust to a new normal in political violence? How has it come to this?
Well, I think a lot of people are just shaking their heads and looking at the, what was really going on here. In the first case, it does appear that there was a security lapse. In the second case here, again, a former president or a presidential candidate of a major party with Secret Service protection was outside. And I can tell you, every time that the president would step out of the White House or a former president would be out in public, these agents do get a bit nervous because there is so much potential for things to go wrong. I think if the Secret Service had its way with presidents, they would always be in sort of a bubble and wouldn't be doing, outdoor events. It's much easier to keep them secure when they're indoors. And we did see some changes with former President Trump's security, where he was behind a bulletproof glass, and the number of agents were stepped up. The difference is that former president doesn't have the same level of security that the sitting president has. And I think that's going to be looked at again. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who ran against Trump in this current presidential race in the primary, is saying he wants a state investigation to find out what was really going on here.
And just finally, Steve, how might this incident impact the campaigning and election even come November?
Well, that remains to be seen. It'll be interesting to see if the Secret Service and Donald Trump's campaign try to put him in a position where he is less vulnerable, less visible, perhaps going to indoor rallies instead of outdoor rallies, and how that might affect also campaigning for Kamala Harris. It remains to be seen, Yvonne.
Steve Herman, always great to get your views. Thanks so much for joining us on The World.